Man, I think I'm sick. I think I got a case of writer's block. Oh man. So you know that video I made, I think like 2 weeks ago, where I turned in my medical school application? Well, at the end of that video, I said I'd be starting my secondary applications where I'd be writing, the essays for those very soon after that. And that didn't happen, okay? And I procrastinated a little bit. So here we are now, close to the deadline, and I'm finally getting my stuff together, right? I don't know. I've always struggled with writing about myself, and I feel like whenever I try to start writing, I'll just blank. I'm just lost and I don't know what to write about, and I'll go and get distracted, watch YouTube videos and pretend like I'm doing research on the school, all kinds of things, whatever I can do to get myself out of the thing that I need to be doing. So, I've been trying to do different things to address that, right? And if you can relate to any of this stuff, here are a couple things that I've been trying to do to get over writer's block and to just get the essays done that I need to get done. Now, if you're working on college application essays, if you're working on any kind of applications essays, I hope this helps. On with the tips. The first one I wrote down here is getting help from people, right? I feel like you need different people to help you write your essays, right? Of course, you need to do the work, but as you're writing things, you need people to bounce ideas off, right? Like you might think, okay, maybe if I write about this, that would sound awesome, but then you didn't realize that experience kind of paints you in a negative light in a way that you don't want on an application essay. And trust me, I've been there, and it's someone else that needs to tell you that in order for you to realize. So some things like that you might not realize from your own. So I recommend getting someone that knows you relatively well, and preferably someone that's went through the process before as well that can help you. And then have someone else that just knows you really, really well to read your essays and see, are you writing about yourself to the extent at which you can. I mean, applications, I feel like at the end of the day, are just like sales pitches of yourself, right? Like you can have killer experiences, but if you're like someone that thinks of yourself as like humble and someone that doesn't like to speak highly of themselves all the time, like application season will hurt you because you're not talking about the things to the extent at which you can. Some people can explain things really well, even though the thing that they did might not have been as huge, but the way that they were able to write about it and reflect on it made it so that you can convey it in a lot better light. So make sure that you're having people read your essays, making sure that you're conveying things as you should and to the level at which that you can. So that's number one. Number two, I think, is a huge one, very huge one, and that's brain dumping and avoiding perfectionism. I kind of clump these two together because a lot of times when we're typing at the keyboard, right, we'll type something, hit backspace, get rid of it, type something new, do that same process again. And then at one point we just don't type anything because we just do this process in our head where we think of something, you're like, oh no, we don't want that. And what this does is you never let yourself spark your thought process, right? So you cut your thought process off right at the beginning at the idea before it can even develop into anything. And yeah, maybe that idea wasn't good. Maybe it wasn't going anywhere. But on the off chance that it was, you'll never get to explore that option. What I like to do is, just type, right? And I've recently started journaling actually, where I just like write whatever I want about anything down every day. And I feel like that process is like awesome because you write things down with no feeling of judgment, right? Like you just write it to your heart's content and however much you want. But when you're writing an application, you always feel this kind of crunch. So my tip here and the thing that I'm trying to do is just write these essay responses as if though you're writing them for yourself and not as if you're writing them from someone else. Because at the end of the day, you want to get something down on paper that you can pull from to then put in the final application essay. But until you have all these different sources to pull from, your application essay is not really going to go anywhere. So I think that that's definitely a big tip right there. And you can do this through multiple different avenues, right? If you're not a fan of typing, you can write it down. If you're not a fan of putting stuff down on paper, you can use like dictation software and just say your thoughts out loud. You can just like lay down on the floor. Like I've done this multiple times, just lay down on the floor and just like start talking and to myself and just saying random things that I think I should write about. And sometimes it sounds good and I write about it more in my actual application. So different things there as well. Avoid perfection, because if you keep trying to reach perfection, you're never going to get satisfied because you're never going to be able to put anything down in the first place. And the third one is cutting distractions. When I'm writing, I will take any distraction I can, right? if I turn off my phone, keep it in a different room and have no access to it, I'll find a way to distract myself on the computer. If I block YouTube, I'll find a way to distract myself on Twitter. Like, there's always going to be something that distracts you. And so if you're someone like me who self-control is a little bit difficult sometimes, or you'll find like these different loopholes to distract yourself, you just got to find like new ways to convince yourself to stop doing things. Like for me, I was like, oh, I need YouTube in order to like do research and stuff on different things. You don't need YouTube to do research on essays. You don't. So just block YouTube, right? And you don't need access to that right now. And you'll be surprised at how much you instinctually go and try to type YouTube into the browser and then see a screen that just says that it's blocked. Try to minimize distractions, because what I find myself doing every single time the going gets hard, like I'll be writing and then I hit a kind of roadblock and then I'll just be like, oh, I don't know what to write about. And then go on my phone, go a distraction, and nothing gets done. And then I'm sitting at my computer just like, oh my gosh, I need to write something and I don't have anything written. So, but yeah, those are 3 things that I figured out. And I actually wasn't going to record a video this week because I didn't think I had time, but I recently read this book, Show Your Work, which is very famous in the productivity community, but he's basically talking about how you should show your work on whatever you're doing, right? And right now that is writing for me, and I want to be able to document this process not only for myself, but see if there's any insights that I've developed during my time having fun writing these essays, and if any of that might help anyone else. So I hope this helped in any way possible. If you're applying to something or writing applications for something right now, leave it down in the comments. Let me know what you're doing. I'd love to hear from you. If you have any more questions or comments or suggestions or help that you want to send to myself, because this is a tough time, I'd love to hear from you as well. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the video next week that I still have to plan.